In at number 10, Christian Bale. When that tape leaked of Christian Bale going absolutely nuts, not only did he have to go on a press tour for his new movie, but an apology tour as well. That Christian Bale rant had so many expletives in it, I'm almost certain we're not going to be able to use the clip. While filming the Terminator Salvation, a crew member had accidentally walked onto the set, interrupting Bale while he was acting. This sent the celebrity into a downward spiral of anger where the F word suddenly became punctuation for his sentences. He nearly stopped all production on the movie just so he could release his frustrations on that hard-working film crew. We get that some acting requires intense focus, but regardless, if someone breaks that focus, it doesn't give the actor free license to scream at others.
Nothing I can say about that I haven't said already, and you know, I have never tried to make any excuses for it. It was unacceptable, and I take it, you know, it's my fault. That's it.
In at number 9, Jennifer Lawrence. Now let's shift to one that's a little more funny than sad, because most times celebrities do something embarrassing, it's not very pretty. Jennifer Lawrence had just won an Oscar for The Silver Linings Playbook and was playing it pretty cool during her interviews, all things considered, when all of a sudden legendary actor Jack Nicholson decided to surprise her. Jennifer did her very best to keep her cool, however the moment that he left she completely lost it, but for the most part J-Law did a great job of just, you know, joking around with him. She did wait until Jack left and then just dropped her calm and collected persona.
I loved all your movies. Oh really? Do I look like a new girl, bro?
I thought about it.
The best part is that after she thought he walked away, Jack came back with sunglasses on and scared her again. I think I would have also had a panic attack if Jack Nicholson just appeared beside me. Would have been very embarrassing to catch on camera, so we can't blame her for that. In number 8, Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson seems to be really enjoying his retirement for the time being, although it was while spending time with his family and having his daughter record him that we got to witness one of the best celebrity fails ever. What was meant to be a fun ride around his house turned into a viral video that made Mike the talk of the town all over again. At least he was able to laugh at himself and not get mad at his daughter for filming it all. Mike Tyson is so humble now that he even posted the video after he recovered from that nasty fall. Turns out the only person that could knock down Tyson was a hoverboard, and it did it within a couple of seconds. New record. In at number 7, Ashley Simpson. This video still gives me secondhand embarrassment. In the video you can see all this confusion when Ashley realizes that the track started playing before she even had the microphone up to her face, so she just awkwardly dances instead. Maybe that's where the Fortnite Take the L dance came from. At that point, you can't even really salvage the performance. I mean, it's called Saturday Night Live for a reason. So she just did her little dance, said that she was sorry, blamed it on her band for playing the wrong song, and then it was all quick cut to commercial from there. During an interview several years later, she was asked about this, and here's what Ashley had to say.
What happened there was I had a vocal problem. I had two nodes beating against each other, and I woke up and I had no voice. And then I should have said, no, I will not go on. I will not do this. And
in at number 6, Julianne Hough. While Julianne Hough was attending the Casamigos Tequila Halloween party, she stepped out of her ride along with some friends dressed as the cast of Orange is the New Black. The main issue with this is that Julianne was dressed as the character called Crazy Eyes, played by actress Uzo Aduba. Along with that, she wore a full-on blackface instead of, you know, not doing that and maybe just doing her hair similar. I just don't get the desire to paint your face another race, even if it's for a Halloween costume. It just feels really gross. Although because Julianne is adored in Hollywood, she felt almost zero backlash from her peers, including the actress she impersonated. In response to the backlash online she received, Hough took to Twitter and said, "I am a huge fan of the show Orange is the New Black, actress Uzo Aduba, and the character she has created. It certainly was never my intention to be disrespectful or demeaning to anyone in any way. I realize my costume hurt and offended people, and I truly apologize." That's all well and good, but it's still a very embarrassing celebrity moment. Coming in at number 5, Nate Robinson.
Mamma mia, the problem child proving to be a big problem.
And I guarantee you that when former NBA player Nate Robinson stepped into the ring with YouTuber Jake Paul, he did not think that he was going to become a viral meme for weeks. For the most part, Nate looked very untrained and was just throwing punches wildly throughout the fight. Jake then knocked Robinson out in the second round of the fight after first catching him with a huge uppercut and then putting him away with a straight right hand. I had always heard that getting hit on your chin is a soft spot for being knocked out, but damn, he literally bounced when he hit the canvas. There wasn't even a light on in his frontal lobe for him to cushion his fall. It's probably going to take some time before Nate Robinson scrolls the internet because his lack of training really showed in this one, and he was brutally bullied for it. In at number 4, Jussie Smollett. The former star of Empire, Jussie Smollett, got himself into some real trouble with Chicago police after he faked a racial attack on himself. At midnight on January 29, 2019, Smollett said that he was attacked on a Chicago street street outside of his hotel room. According to the report, he told the police that 2 white men in ski masks yelled racist and homophobic slurs at him as they tied a rope around his neck, poured bleach on him, and yelled, "This is MAGA country." Now, these are serious allegations, and the entire internet was furious, with many calling it a modern-day lynching. Later on, investigators found 2 potential suspects. Although the brothers were initially suspects, they told investigators that Mr. Smollett had coordinated a fake attack and paid them to participate in it. A far stretch from the 2 white MAGA hat-wearing men that Jussie had described. Although even though he filed a false police report and then lied under oath, Jussie skated by without any criminal charges. This is still a developing case, but we're assuming the Chicago PD isn't going to let him get away with this. Jussie was recently indicted on 6 new charges which allege that the actor planned and participated in the staging of a hate crime against himself.
Taking over our 3rd spot is Kanye West takes the mic. I don't really think I need to even explain this one. Just by saying that, I think you already know what incident I am talking about. But just for the fun of it, and because it's my job, let's take a trip down memory lane. Back at the 2009 MTV Awards, Kanye shocked the audience when he walked up on stage and interrupted Taylor Swift's acceptance speech. Not only did he interrupt it, but he grabbed the mic from her hand and then gave his own speech instead. In his speech, he told everyone how he thinks Beyonce should have won the award for her music video, Put a Ring on It, saying that it was one of the best videos of all time. The whole audience was in complete shock, including Beyonce, who looks completely mortified throughout the entire thing. But don't worry, it was not her fault. She even made it up to Taylor by calling her up during her acceptance speech and letting Taylor finish her own speech. Beyonce was actually the one to apologize, even though she didn't do anything. Kanye never apologized. Which does not surprise me.
In at number 2, Charlie Sheen. While attempting to help out Justin Bieber, Charlie Sheen thought that he was sending out a private message on Twitter. However, instead he tweeted out his phone number to his 5 million plus followers. He simply said, "Call me, bro." I mean, who knew the king of Tiger Blood and Bieber were so close? I'm sure that number is disconnected now, but can you even imagine the volume of phone calls and text messages that he was getting? If he was using an iPhone, it probably caught fire. I mean, we're talking thousands of texts and calls at least. It's embarrassing and really shows his age. Last but certainly not least, on our number 1 spot, Cardi B. While it was quite the surprise for everyone, including Cardi B, I'm assuming by now you are aware that after Cardi's birthday bash where she reunited with Offset, she also accidentally uploaded something to her Instagram stories that should not have been there. During an Instagram live, Cardi explained to her fans exactly how that happened. She was laying in bed with Offset and decided to take a photo of them together, but unfortunately the pic snapped and then immediately was sent off into the ether of the internet for all to see. It was embarrassing, and by the time that she had turned her phone back on to delete it, everyone and their mother had already witnessed all that is Cardi B. She also got dragged through the mud for doing this, but honestly, we should just leave her alone. It was a mistake and a very embarrassing one at that, so the best thing we can do is just respect her privacy. Coming in at number 10, Snooki. Nicole, also known by her reality show nickname Snooki, began appearing as a main character for the show Jersey Shore back in 2009. This is where the name Snooki really stuck and her popularity began to rise. The New York Times even referred to her as the breakout member of the cast. Now at 32 years old, the New Jersey native has come a long way from her drunken outbursts on the Jersey Shore. Although the reason I bring her up for this list is to remember that very embarrassing episode of her being arrested on the beach. In 2010, Nicole was acting in a disorderly manner while on the beach, as reported by the Seaside Heights police chief. It was brutal to watch on that episode as well, just seeing her falling over drunk and no one around even trying to help her. I don't know what's more embarrassing though, the fact that she passed out drunk on a beach or the fact that it was all captured on camera. And before we move on to our next point, I need you guys to hit that like button because it really helps us out. Coming in at number 9, John Travolta. Back in 2014, actor John Travolta famously mispronounced Idina Menzel's name while introducing her at the Oscars.
Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem.
John would later appear on Jimmy Kimmel's show to explain why exactly he called the Let It Go singer Adele Dazeem. When reflecting on the incident, John had this to say: "The truth is, I was expected backstage and it was getting very close to the time I was supposed to go on, and suddenly a page, an assistant to you, grabbed me and said, 'You're on in a minute.' I was like, 'What happened to 15 minutes?' And they didn't explain. Later I found out my actual page got stuck in an elevator and couldn't communicate to anybody, so the backup came to get me." He then goes on to blame Goldie Hawn for distracting him backstage with her beauty, and then he shifts the blame to an assistant who said that they were changing Idina's name to phonetic spelling, although the pronunciation was never explained to him, and thus he was rushed out onto the stage, and we got this very embarrassing celebrity moment. In at number 8, Kanye West. Even though it's been more than a decade, Kanye continues to shade Taylor along with his wife Kim, doing illegal things like releasing phone call conversations without the other person's consent. That was a mouthful. Now this story has gotten even crazier though, with Kanye actually claiming that God told him to interrupt Taylor Swift. very embarrassing. To refresh your memory of the event, allow me to cover some of the key details. The bizarre interaction took place at the start of the night when a 19-year-old Taylor Swift was accepting the award for Best Female Video. However, as she was giving her acceptance speech, we all watched a drunken Kanye run onto the stage. He then proceeded to grab the microphone from Taylor and said,
"Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time."
In at number 7, Zac Efron. While at the premiere for the movie The Lorax, Zac was doing his thing walking the red carpet and snapping some photos where necessary. At some point, a red carpet assistant calls him over and he begins reaching into his pocket for something. I don't know if she wanted a pen or what, but he dives into his pocket, and as he pulls out whatever he gave her, a condom drops onto the ground. Now obviously all eyes were on Zac because of the nature of the red carpet, but he acted swiftly. He immediately swooped down and threw it into his back pocket and then did not address anyone asking him what had fallen out. Although the video has been watched so many times that this embarrassing moment was certainly seen by everyone. He later addressed it on a talk show and said that he has now implemented a pocket check before walking down the red carpet. Probably a good idea. In at number 6, Rita Ora. Aside from being a talented musical act, Rita has also acted in some pretty big films. She was in 50 Shades of Grey and even appeared in Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Here's where she got caught doing something very embarrassing though. She posted this tweet that said, "Dropping my new song Monday if this gets 100,000 retweets," and it got way less than that, which then resulted in this drastic narrative change. She then tweeted, "By the way, my Twitter got hacked. Somebody is threatening to release new music I've worked really hard on. Nothing comes out until I'm ready." Funny enough, that tweet had more retweets than her previous one, but again, nothing even close to 100,000 retweets. So she was dreaming. And by the way, she has 6.8 million followers, so embarrassing bots too.
Halfway through our list, at number 5 is Rami Malek takes a tumble. Definitely an embarrassing moment for someone who has been in the Hollywood game for a while now. His role as Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody put him on the map, and he was nominated for numerous awards at the 2019 Oscar Awards. Good news is he did walk away with a few wins to his name. Bad news is he walked away with some bruises too. Both bruises on his body and probably a bruise on his ego as well, because this was embarrassing. As he made his way to the stage to collect his award, it seemed like he was in a hurry back to his seat for some reason. He was rushing off the stage and totally fell off the stage somehow, tumbling to the ground. It's one thing to fall like on the Oscar stage, like trip, and it's another to fall off of it. Why are you even walking that close to the edge? I don't know.
In at number 4, Fergie. Sometimes we have to go pee so bad that we just can't hold it, and it turns out Fergie couldn't hold her bladder better than anyone else could in this situation. At a 2005 concert, Fergie had a very embarrassing moment where a bit of fluid began to appear on the front of her pants. The suspicious stain was originally scoffed off as nothing but sweat, but as the years went on, Fergie ended up admitting that she did in fact wet herself. During an interview that she did with Blender, Fergie said, "It was horrible, but whatever, it happened." She then found herself revisiting the infamous situation again on Hot 97's morning radio, where she said that it was a combination of a full bladder and being rushed onto the stage. To quote Fergie again, she said, "I'm running on and we jump and do Let's Get It Started, and I get crazy and I jump and I run across the stage and my adrenaline was going, and gosh, I wish it didn't happen. It was so embarrassing." This man's whole career has been made up of wild antics, controversy, and embarrassing others. Thankfully, we're going to be focusing in on Jake embarrassing himself rather than his friends for once.
Yo, you good?
Jake had done another video of him stacking a bunch of red cups before inevitably falling off the ladder, thus bringing down the pyramid of sadness. Well, he tried it again, but this time opted for the more comfortable fall by stacking toilet paper rolls. You know, in the middle of a pandemic, when there was a shortage of toilet paper rolls at the time. Although Jake adds to the embarrassment of this post by first having his dog jump across them before he topples onto them. God, this guy needs to go away. In at number 2, Justin Bieber. Back in 2012, Justin Bieber had a terrible incident on stage the very first night that he started his world tour. He didn't throw up once, he threw up twice all over center stage right before running to the back mid-performance. According to Bieber, he blamed the embarrassing accident on drinking too much milk before the concert. Justin did end up returning, but this time announced to the crowd that he was going to slow things down a bit because the pyrotechnics in his stomach were acting up. When Bieber took to the stage again, he told his fans that the rest of the performance was going to be hard for him because he wasn't feeling great after throwing up in front of a bunch of people. He then asked them if they will still love him even though he just literally puked on the stage, and the crowd that night replied with a resounding shriek of approval. Last but certainly least, at our #1 spot, Robin Thicke. This one is next level embarrassing for just everyone involved. His summer smash called Blurred Lines certainly started to explain his real life. Robin was happily married to wife Paula Patton, for whom he shares a son with. However, in 2013, he threw his entire marriage under the bus as a photo emerged of the singer getting a little too personal with a female fan, who was later identified as socialite Lana Scolaro. In the photo taken, you can see that the mirror behind Lana and Robin catches him with his hand going right up her dress. The photo appeared to have been taken at an MTV VMA after party in New York City, which also just so happened to be the night that Robin had done his controversial performance with Miley Cyrus. So you know, when he got home that night, he had a lot of apologizing to do. In at number 10, Travis Scott. This one was hard to watch go down, especially when you take into consideration how much Travis Scott probably spent on his custom Halloween costume. It definitely wasn't the worst Halloween costume in the world, but Trav still felt the heat online. Fans and followers began to make fun of him relentlessly, and the bullying got so bad that he even ended up deleting his entire Instagram page. Although he never provided a statement about being publicly shamed, it was assumed his Instagram deactivation was a result of the teasing. One user tweeted, "Travis Scott is drowning in millions of dollars right now and he couldn't get a good Batman costume? Shaking my head." Although many people ridiculed those teasing Travis and accused them of jealousy, they also made a very valid point when they said that his silly Batman costume is probably worth more than their house, which yeah, probably is. In at number 9, Will Smith. When Jada Pinkett Smith confirmed that she was romantically involved with singer August Alsina during an episode of her Facebook Watch show called Red Table Talk, she spoke openly about it while sitting across from her husband Will Smith.
You giving permission, which is, you know, the only person that can give permission in that particular circumstance is myself.
Yes.
The thing that really baffled people was that she did this with her son's friend. You know, Jaden is the one that introduced August to the house, and then he went and got himself entangled with his buddy's mom. I mean, come on, man, that's greasy. During the one-on-one interview with Will, Jada explained that her and August had become good friends, but I guess he missed the memo on keeping things hush-hush. August came out and claimed that he and Jada had started a relationship while she was married, and Will had given them permission, which was completely false and only blew this thing up in the press even more. The couple also revealed in their conversation that they had briefly separated when Jada began seeing August, but with that behind them, they are apparently now committed to one another. Even so, this remains a very embarrassing video for Will Smith. Coming in at number 8, Hugh Grant. While some accents may sound charming, Hugh Grant's personality canceled out any of that for Jon Stewart at The Daily Show. After appearing on the show, Jon Stewart said that he was banning Grant for being a big pain in the ass. Stewart saying that he would never grant him permission back on the show, pun intended. During an onstage Q&A, John remarked that they had dictators on the show, but Hugh Grant was still his least favorite guest. Yikes. Apparently Hugh spent most of the day just complaining that he had to be there, and even flat out said that he had better things to do, for which the staff of The Daily Show didn't really care to hear, nor did Stewart. So thanks to his high maintenance attitude, he was banned from the show with zero apologies, and I gotta say, that's pretty embarrassing.
In spot number 7 is John Travolta cannot say a name. Now, I'm no one to judge, I mispronounce names on this channel all the time. If you're a regular, then you know that. But this is a whole lot worse because this happened in front of a huge audience and the world at the 2014 Oscar Awards. He was in charge of introducing an artist performance during the show, and Idina Menzel was going to perform her iconic song, Let It Go, from the Disney movie Frozen. But when he went to announce her performance, he said a totally random name, Adele Dazeem, and it left people super confused and slightly embarrassed. More than slightly. Good news is she went on to win the Oscar for Best Original Song. He apologized to her after the show, and the two of them went on to make a joke out of it at future Oscar award shows. So, it all worked out in the end.
Coming in at number 6, Alec Baldwin. Yes, that is just the end bit of a string of harassing voicemails that Alec Baldwin would leave his daughter. More concerning is that she was 12 years old at the time. He actually called her a rude, thoughtless little pig. Why, you ask? Well, because she forgot to take his call at the time that they had agreed upon. Look, I get if you're concerned for her safety and that's why you need the calls to check in, but she's 12, dude. You don't scream at a kid like that. You shouldn't scream at anyone like that. Alec took a ton of heat for this to the point where he even contemplated suicide. Instead, he wrote a book called A Promise to Ourselves, A Journey Through Fatherhood and Divorce. The book detailed his long divorce that involved 90 court proceedings and $3 million in legal fees, as well as the alienation that he felt from his daughter after everything that had happened. Luckily, years later, his daughter daughter Ireland was able to roast her dad on Comedy Central, although being embarrassed in public hardly seems like a sufficient punishment for the childhood trauma that he caused his daughter, but you be the judge. In number 5, James Franco. The dangerous thing with James Franco interacting with his fans is that he realizes just how famous he is and therefore believes that he can get away with a lot of terrible stuff. For example, the time that he decided to slide into the DMs of a fan that was underage. A girl from a small Scottish town was on a trip to New York City when she ended up getting to meet Franco at his Broadway show called Of Mice and Men. After tagging him in an Instagram video that is no longer available, James began flirting with her through the app. Lucy didn't believe that it was actually James Franco, so she inquired about proving his identity, which he did with no issue. He was very aggressive with trying to get his fan into his bed though, which really changes the way that you look at him. I mean, asking if he should get a hotel room right after asking if she was single is just a little fast, you know? Then to see her tell him that she would come back to NYC when she turned 18 only made him persist, which was even more gross and proved that he had really crossed the line in this very embarrassing moment. Coming in number 4, Kanye West. The word disaster is really the only way to truly describe the Kanye West rally in South Carolina. With the year of our Lord 2020 shaved into the back of his head whilst wearing a flak jacket that read security, Kanye rambled about his campaign for about an hour. This was his very first presidential campaign rally, which was held, as I mentioned, in South Carolina under his political banner called the Birthday Party. Still funny to me. Then Kanye said that all Harriet Tubman did was free the slaves so that they could be slaves to other white people. It was a rally filled with controversies, but the biggest moment was when Kanye broke down into tears as he openly told the crowd that he nearly aborted his own daughter. This clearly was a sensitive subject for him and left the crowd absolutely baffled. Following this, Kanye would continue to make headlines as many political opponents accused him of trying to split the vote. Coming in at number 3, Jake Paul. In at number 3, Aubrey Plaza. Typically when you get a couple of comedic actors together like Will Ferrell and Aubrey Plaza, you would think the end result would be funny. Unfortunately, no one found this embarrassing stunt funny, and instead Aubrey was unceremoniously escorted out of the building. At the MTV Movie Awards in 2013, a barefoot Aubrey Plaza ran onto the stage in an attempt to pry away the Golden Popcorn Award from Will Ferrell. The moment appeared to be a failed attempt to mock the great Kanye West interruption from the 2009 VMAs. Will still tried to play it off and joke that the bit was staged, but according to MTV, Miss Plaza was taken out of the award show by network executives and even had the head of Viacom security scolding her. It was not a good look and overall a terrible idea with poor execution. Coming in at number 2, Chris Evans. Captain America gave America a lot more than just America's. Back in September, Chris uploaded a screen-recorded video of him and his siblings playing the game Heads Up to his Instagram stories. However, what he didn't realize was that in that video there was a brief frame that had his camera roll in it. Someone then took a screenshot of this and immediately it went viral on Twitter. You see, within the images were some interesting memes featuring himself that he had saved, and then another was, well, there's no easy way to say this, Thor's hammer. I don't know. Someone must have contacted him quickly because he removed the video not too long after, but the photos and memes had already begun. However, instead of just tucking his tail between his legs, Chris tweeted this out. Now that I have your attention, vote November 3rd. Hey, at least he used the publicity. Coming in at number 1, Amy Schumer. Comedian Amy Schumer named her son Gene Attell, which she soon realized sounded too similar to the word genital. God, can you imagine the bullying this poor kid would have had to go through? Not only is your mom Amy Schumer, but you're also named after the family jewels? I mean, that's a rough hand to be dealt in life. Amy revealed on her podcast that her child's full name was Gene Attell Fisher, with the middle name coming from the great comedian Dave Attell. Although at 11 months old, Schumer opted to change the unfortunate homonym. In response to everyone calling her out for this mistake, Schumer said, "So do you guys know that Gene, our baby's name, is officially changed? It's now Gene David Fisher." She then went on to say, "It was Gene Attell Fisher, but we realized that we by accident named our son Genital." At least she was able to still work in an homage to her favorite comedian. It's not a complete loss.
Starting off our countdown at number 10 is Steve Harvey's hosting flub. When thinking about hosting the award ceremony of a competition show, the biggest fear you might have is announcing the wrong winner. Well, just ask Steve how that goes, because that is exactly what he did when hosting the 2015 Miss Universe pageant. Even his years of experience was not enough to stop this from happening. If you missed the most cringeworthy moment in pageant history, what happened was he went to announce the winner but accidentally said the wrong person. He was just reading from a card and didn't notice it until after the whole crowd and the wrong Miss Universe was already celebrating her win.
I have to apologize.
He then had to announce to everyone that she wasn't actually the winner. He came under a lot of fire for the mistake, and people were even booing him while he was on stage trying to fix everything. They had to awkwardly remove the crown from Miss Colombia and then put it on Miss Philippines' head, and it was just so brutal to watch. Steve, of course, took full responsibility and admitted that he read the card wrong, saying he announced the first runner-up instead of like the first place winner. Why would they word it like that though? Like that is like asking for a mistake to be made. Moving on to number 9, we have Jennifer Lawrence falls down. No one wants an embarrassing moment to happen to them at one of the biggest award shows in the world, the Oscars. But Jen couldn't get out of this one, and even though it was embarrassing, she handled it like a total champ. It was at the Oscar Awards when she was called up on stage to receive the Best Actress award for her role in Silver Lining Playbook. That's a moment that every artist probably dreams about and then plans out in their head, like what they're gonna say when they win the award. She could have rehearsed winning the award as many times as she wanted, but it still wasn't enough to prevent her fall from happening. That is right, as she was walking up the stairs to the stage to get her award, she tripped and fell down. She ended up just staying on the stairs for a few moments, like just laughing to herself and covering her face, probably thinking about how she's gonna react to that. After the award, she explained what happened and said that she remembers her stylist telling her to kick and walk, meaning kick the dress out while you walk, and she got distracted and forgot. The dress tucked under her feet and she went down. It was kind of game over from there. Sliding into number 8 is the famous Chrissy Teigen meme. Now, if you ask me, becoming a meme wouldn't be all that bad. I think that really shows you made it. Well, Chrissy is the queen of memes after her face turned into one of the biggest ones in the entire world. Even without showing the picture, you probably already know which face I'm talking about because it's known as being the meme face now. No one else could laugh it off the way Chrissy did, who is always a good time when it comes to the internet and what people have to say about her. So why did she become a meme though? Well, during the 2015 Golden Globes, her husband, John Legend, was on stage performing one of his love songs that he wrote about her. Of course, the camera was on her so we could see her reaction to this performance, but it seemed to just catch her at a really bad moment. It was supposed to be this beautiful and romantic moment, but when the camera caught her, it looked like she'd smelled something like really bad and she looked absolutely disgusted. She later said that she was trying to hold back tears and that the timing of the camera was just horrible.
Coming in at number 7, Kevin Hart. This entire cheating scandal with Kevin Hart was recently covered on his new docuseries on Netflix, where he fully details what went down that night in Las Vegas. The show even interviews his wife Aniko as she emotionally recaps when she saw the video and how it made her feel. While Kevin was with a friend in Vegas, he cheated on his wife and then his own friend was the one that set him up. Yes, Kevin did do this to himself and he takes full responsibility for his mistakes, but can you imagine your own friend trying to blackmail you like that? The woman sent his wife the video, and then later on the pair decided that they were going to use it as leverage to get Kevin to pay them $60 million. Instead, that man went to jail for an attempted extortion, and Aniko and Kevin seem stronger than ever, but still, it's a very embarrassing moment for Kevin that he had to really live while he was out touring, while he was filming movies. It was a mess.
Making her way into number 6 is Nicole Kidman's clap. Hopefully we can all agree that one of the best parts of award shows is the camera capturing the reaction of the audience members throughout the show. We love to see how people react to other people winning, or how the loser in the category reacts to their loss. But sometimes these cameras capture the strangest reactions, and Nicole Kidman's is one of them. The actress started making really strange headlines after the 2017 Oscar Awards. The headlines were talking about how she looked like a seal clapping in the audience at the show. Video clips showed her in the audience next to her husband Keith Urban, and she stood up from her chair and clapped at those who were standing on stage receiving their awards. While that sounds like a normal and a very nice thing to do, she made it weird by clapping with her fingers pointed to the sides away from each other, and her hands weren't actually clapping. She was clapping like the air. This is what it looked like, no lie. Her fingers were like this, and she was clapping like this. They weren't even touching. It was so weird. Nicole later explained herself though and said it was because she was wearing a huge ring that was not hers and she didn't want to damage it. I get that's smart, but like weird.
In at number 5, Justin Timberlake. Way back in 2003, Justin Timberlake was best known as a member of the boy band NSYNC, although even JT was not safe from Ashton Kutcher's prank show called Punk that aired on MTV. In this embarrassing celebrity moment, we have Justin Timberlake absolutely losing his mind as he comes home to find that his entire home is being repossessed by the IRS. Timberlake then begins to cry and go a little bit crazy, but there was a reason for that. During an interview that he did with Playboy magazine, Justin explained why that incident was so embarrassing for him. In the interview, he said, "I actually stopped smoking pot for 9 to 10 months after Punk'd. I was so stoned. If you ask my friends if they're honest, they would probably say that that's the only way to get me as dizzy as I was." What you didn't see from that episode, because it was 45-minute affair cut down to 10 minutes, was me showing up and being like, "What the f are you people doing on my property? Get the f off my property, get the f out of here." Then they started rattling off my parents' address and I was like, holy shit, hold on a second. I mean, everybody was got good on that show, me probably the best. Definitely the best.
In spot number 4, we have Mariah Carey, a little too tipsy. I totally understand why some people would want to have a few drinks to shake the nerves before going up and giving a big acceptance speech. I would probably be wasted. But Mariah might have had one too many. At the 2010 Palm Springs International Film Festival, she won the award for Breakthrough Actress for her role in the movie Precious. I'm sure she had planned to win her award graciously, but that seemed more difficult than usual because she was a bit too tipsy. You could tell she had been drinking the minute she started talking. What made matters even worse was that the director of the movie was up on stage with her when she was trying to give her speech, and he did not look very impressed. Mariah ended up addressing the fact that she was drunk during her speech and apologized, saying that it was all the splashes of champagne she had on an empty stomach. Rookie mistake.
In at number 3, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is well known at this point for flying off the handle on his Twitter account. Much like Lil Jon, he loves him some all caps tweets. This tweet in particular though is embarrassing for a whole host of other reasons. On May 5th, 2016, Trump tweeted out, "Happy Cinco de Mayo, the best taco bowls are made in Trump Tower. Grill, I love Hispanics." There is so much to unpack in what is possibly considered his most famous tweet. First of all, his policies definitely do not reflect that he loves Hispanics. Secondly, people did some research and apparently Trump Tower Grill didn't even sell taco bowls at the time that he made the tweet. So you can just imagine how staged this really had to be. Then on his desk you can see a photo of his ex-wife Marla Maples from what appears to be an old bikini contest. The photo also prompted a lot of people to start wondering if Trump was addicted to the methamphetamine drug called Sudafed, because as you can see in his open drawer there are a few boxes that are stacked up there. This claim was later confirmed to be false upon further investigation that revealed the box said Sudafed's mucus relief day and night. So that would suggest that he kept it in case he got sick, I guess. That did not stop the internet though from making its wild claims, and still to this day it's a bit of a conspiracy theory as to whether or not the president is all hopped up on pills. I mean, if his Twitter account is any indication of his mental state, I'd say he's on something.
Cruising into our number 2 spot is Madonna's big fall. This one is a little harder to watch than the other falls we've seen on this list. This was not just a little trip and fall, it was incredibly painful to watch for a few different reasons. Not only was it incredibly embarrassing, but it also looked incredibly painful. It was at the 2015 Brit Awards when she wore a cape during her performance which tied around her neck. In her choreography, she was supposed to walk up the stairs and her dancers at the bottom were going to pull the cape off of her. But when they went to do that, the cape was tied too tight around her neck and it wouldn't come undone. So when they yanked the cape down the stairs, she came with it. It literally strangled her from behind and caused her to fly backwards down the stairs and crash to the ground. She ended up hitting her head on the ground and got whiplash from the fall. She was okay, no serious injuries, but she later admitted that she would never perform in a cape ever again. Earning our number 1 spot is Ryan Seacrest and his self-promotion. Now, a little bit of self-promotion is not a horrible thing, but there is a time and place to do it, and the Oscars probably is not that time. From one perspective, it's the perfect time since the promotion would be huge. From another perspective, it's not very classy. A little bit tacky. Ryan had no problem with it and used his hosting opportunity to his advantage. At the 2019 Oscar Awards, he was interviewing celebrities, asking them who they were wearing so they could shout out the designers. That's what they usually do. But Ryan went a bit overboard and used a lot of his screen time to plug his new suit line. It was so tacky that everyone talked about it after the show and Twitter was filled with jokes about it. Most people who watch the red carpet shows at the Oscars want to hear about the world's biggest designers, but Ryan wanted people to know that he had a new suit line. He even went as far as telling the camera like where they could buy it from. It was cringeworthy.
At number 10, Mariah Carey. Even though Mariah is still our skinny legend queen of the holidays, that doesn't just make her exempt from embarrassment. Mariah has had plenty of embarrassing moments over the years, but the majority of those cringe moments take place on stage when everyone is watching and some are filming the entire thing unfold. One of her cringiest moments happened back in 2016 during her New Year's Rockin' Eve performance. During this live performance, Mariah had a bit of a malfunction and it messed up the entire show. All night they had been teasing a huge performance from the singer as they rang in the new year, and at the very end of the night, she finally took the stage and didn't sing a single note. When she got out to perform and the music started playing, she just stood there, frozen. And she said that she couldn't hear anything in her earpiece. As the music played for the audience, Mariah's dancers kept on going in the background as was rehearsed, and she even shared her microphone with the audience, getting them to sing for her, but nothing ever came out of her own mouth. A lot of people were left disappointed by this performance because they were hyped up and Mariah just didn't deliver, and it got a lot of fans wondering why she didn't sing even though there was music playing. Some people think that this is proof that she's been lip syncing, but regardless of that theory, it was still a super embarrassing moment. At number 9, Rob Kardashian. The Kardashians have certainly had their fair share of embarrassing moments. Many of them have been caught on camera while filming their reality show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but many of their cringy moments also happen on social media. Most Kardashian cringe comes from the famous sisters, but back in 2012, Rob Kardashian had an embarrassing moment of his own. The Kardashian brother took to Twitter because he had some pretty exciting news to share with his followers, but this message sort of fell flat and ended up with him taking a one-way trip to Cringe City. He sent out a tweet telling his fans that he was going to law school soon, saying, quote, "Going to law school very soon and so excited and can't wait. School just never ends. Hashtag University of Southern Cal. Hashtag Trojans, hashtag fight on." No one had any reason to believe that this was fake because why would you lie about going to school? But soon the school itself had to come out and set the record straight for everyone. The school tweeted saying Rob hadn't even applied to USC Law, and they even tagged some big news outlets in their tweets so they could finally set the record straight. No one really knows what went on there, but it was really embarrassing. At number 8, Doug Williams. Imagine getting up in front of an audience just to get absolutely roasted by someone. This isn't an uncommon thing as celebrity roasts are pretty popular, but it's different when you're not the one who's supposed to be getting roasted. This happened with comedian Doug Williams as he was invited to be part of a comedy roast, and it was super embarrassing. Doug here was invited to be part of the lineup at Shaq's All-Star Comedy Roast of football player Emmitt Smith. He was part of a pretty good lineup of other comedians, so the pressure was really on to do well in front of his peers. That night, after being introduced by host Jamie Foxx, he started his set. After a few punchlines, Jamie started to chime in, interrupting Doug and putting him in the hot seat rather than Emmitt. Jamie started mocking Doug's jokes and punchlines and really just roasted him relentlessly. It was a lot to take in, especially for Doug, who wasn't expecting the tables to be turned like that. That moment was not only incredibly embarrassing, but also pretty career-altering, and Doug just wasn't the same since. At number 7, Khloe Kardashian. Now we just talked about one Kardashian, and like I said, they've all had their embarrassing moments, so let's talk about a recent cringe moment from Khloe Kardashian. Recently, Khloe had an oh crap moment after an unedited photo of her was accidentally posted to social media. Now, she and her sisters have had many embarrassing photo moments, but this was seemingly a huge deal to Khloe because it hadn't been edited and she wasn't looking perfect. The post was quickly circulated on the internet before it was finally taken down, and Khloe and her team have been trying to cover it all up since. Khloe takes her public image very seriously and says that she's insecure and embarrassed by that photo because of how she's portrayed. She also sees this unedited photo as pretty damaging because people always see her as perfect, and straying from this could hurt her image. Now, I don't think that this photo is nearly as embarrassing as others that she's posted. In fact, I don't think it's embarrassing at all. The only cringe that I find here is the fact that she doesn't even post her own things because this was all done by one of her assistants. At number 5, Robert Downey Jr. Here's a story that I haven't been able to get out of my head, and it's oh so cringy and hilarious. Do you remember last year when there was a debate going on online where people were trying to determine who was Hollywood's worst Chris? Well, when it came down to it, a lot of people said that Guardians of the Galaxy actor Chris Pratt was the worst Chris. In a show of support for his MCU brethren, Robert Downey Jr. came in to defend Chris, and he did so by posting a photo of him and Chris together. It was a nice wholesome moment until fans realized that this photo looked pretty familiar, and then realized that there was something missing, and then realized that the thing that was missing was in fact Tom Holland. RDJ was then promptly exposed for photoshopping Tom out of his photo. It was super embarrassing, but also so funny. You just can't Photoshop my darling Tom out of things. At number 4, Tom Holland. But speaking of my darling Tom Holland, I think we all know where I'm going with this. Tom here is the king of leaking things on his social media, and it's always so embarrassing to watch happen. Tom seems to have gotten the hang of his social media thing lately, but there was a time when everyone would search Tom's posts and Instagram stories for new information on upcoming MCU films, just because he was so notorious for leaking sensitive information. There was a time where he accidentally revealed the title of the Spider-Man Homecoming sequel, Far From Home, and there's also that time when he showed off the unreleased posters for Avengers Infinity War, although a lot of people thought that one was actually staged. There was even a time when Tom's social media accidents were so common that when a rumor started going around that Tom had accidentally uploaded the entire Avengers Endgame film to Twitter, he actually believed it because it sounded like something he would do. He also needs to be chaperoned while doing interviews about MCU projects because of how many times he has almost spoiled things. Each accidental leak is super embarrassing, but we just can't be upset with him. At number 3, Dakota Johnson. 50 Shades actress Dakota Johnson is pretty used to having her body exposed to the public, but that doesn't mean that it isn't embarrassing when that sort of thing happens unexpectedly. She once had an embarrassing wardrobe malfunction while at an award show, and coincidentally it happened when she was accepting an award for her role in one of the 50 Shades movies. At the People's Choice Awards in 2016, she went up on stage to accept her award, and when she went in to hug the presenter, one of the straps of her crop top snapped, and she had to do some quick thinking to hold up her top with one hand while taking her award in the other. Luckily, she got some help from the presenter and other people who were up on stage with her, but it was still slightly embarrassing. Luckily though, she was able to laugh it all off, as the first thing she said when she walked up to the microphone was, quote, "It's not like no one here has already seen my boobs." Good one, Dakota. At number 2, Niall Horan. Embarrassing moments happen when you least expect them. Obviously, otherwise they wouldn't be all that embarrassing. But for most people, if you have an embarrassing moment, there normally isn't anyone lurking trying to spot something cringy from you, but the same can't exactly be said for celebrities, since the paparazzi is always around. Former One Direction member Niall Horan had one of his embarrassing moments captured by the paparazzi, and they turned this embarrassing moment into a headline. In March of 2016, Niall was seen leaving a club in West Hollywood when paparazzi caught up with him. In an effort to catch a glimpse of the former boy band member, photographers followed him and ended up capturing a little more than they bargained for as they snapped photos of the singer peeing in public. Yep. There are pictures on the internet of Niall Horan peeing on a wall. He probably didn't expect to be caught doing what he was doing, but he did, and when his photos ended up in the tabloids the next day, it was cringe city for the singer. And finally, at number 1, Tristram Shapiro. Here's a story to remind you to always be mindful of your surroundings when talking trash. I'm kidding, don't talk trash about people unless you want to be caught in an embarrassing moment like director Tristram Shapiro. The director was exposed after Euphoria star Lucas Gage posted about how a director was mocking his LA apartment during a Zoom audition. A clip of this embarrassing moment was shared on social media, and it showed Tristram talking about how crappy Lucas's apartment was. The director didn't realize that he wasn't muted when making his comments, and Lucas heard everything and called him out for it. There is no doubt that Tristram was embarrassed in that moment when he realized what happened. He did issue an apology for his remarks, but man, I am cringing just thinking about it.
At number 10, Christina Aguilera. At highly publicized events, celebrities always go out of their way to look their best. Same goes for celebrity funerals. Though they're somber events, the pictures and videos from the gathering will no doubt be shared on the internet afterwards, and celebrities still want to look their best to respect and honor the one who's passed. This was probably what Christina Aguilera was thinking when she was preparing for Etta James' funeral in 2012, where she was tasked with singing the singer's late song, At Last. Christina seemingly got a fresh spray tan for the event, but the pressure of singing at her idol's funeral was seemingly too much for the tan to handle, and it started to run. Videos and pictures captured brown liquid running down the singer's legs as she belted the song, and she even tried blending it with her other leg or her sleeve. It was embarrassing in the moment, but Christina still powered through to give a powerful performance to honor her idol anyway. At number 9, Demi Lovato. I can't say I've ever been interviewed, at least, you know, that's not a job interview, but I think it wouldn't be as easy as some celebrities make it look. Answering questions about a wide array of topics seems like a very stressful task, probably because I'm just a shy and uninteresting person. But for Demi Lovato, fans thought that maybe the pressure of being interviewed got to her a little bit as she answered one reporter's question in a funny yet mildly embarrassing way. While being interviewed, the reporter asked Demi what her favorite dish was, dish being in reference to a certain type of food, but Demi interpreted it as a serving dish and replied that mugs were her favorite dish.
I like mugs because they're very comfortable in your hand and they hold the hot things that you don't have to touch. So, you know, coffee or hot tea.
Cringy and embarrassing to watch, I know. Later on, after the internet got a good laugh, Demi came out to clarify that her response to the question was just a joke, but even so, it was still super cringy to watch her go on about the appeal of mugs. Before I carry on with our list, I'd like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on the video and maybe hitting that subscribe button while you're at it. It helps us grow our YouTube family and we would love your support. At number 7, Jensen Ackles. Jensen Ackles has been and always will be a heartthrob. My fellow Supernatural fans will surely attest to that. Every production he's in is incredible and every interview he gives makes fans love him even more, and every photo shoot he posed for is always a winner. Well, maybe not always. Back in '99, Jensen did a cowboy-themed photo shoot, and though some of the photos turned out decent, many others were just cringy and embarrassing. I'm sorry, Jensen, but as quirky as you are, this is not a good look for you. Jensen, where are your shoes? These photos are just full of weird 90s energy and I kind of like it, but it also makes me cringe a little. But you guys be the judge. Cringy and embarrassing or cute and endearing? Let me know. At number 5, Leonardo DiCaprio. If you thought those pictures of Jensen Ackles was cringy, just you wait until I show you some pictures from what is probably one of the most embarrassing and wacky photo shoots I have ever seen. David LaChapelle is one of Hollywood's best photographers. He's worked with a lot of the biggest names in Hollywood, from Kim Kardashian to Amanda Lepore, and he snapped photos for all kinds of occasions featuring all kinds of themes. Well, there's a collection of photos that David took of Leonardo DiCaprio back in the 90s. They're definitely something. In what some people have called Leo's most embarrassing photo shoot, we got pictures like this of the actor punching what looks like the lake monster from that one episode of Kim Possible, this image of Leo looking like he's practicing his shot put form, and my personal favorite, Banana Leo, looking like he's ready to perform an artistic rendition of the Wiggles fruit salad. They're all so bizarre and cringy, but I'm kind of glad that these exist because they're also super fun to look at. At number 4, Jessica Simpson. Not everyone can be well versed in the culinary arts. You know, some people can name 50 types of cheeses and determine the doneness of their steak just by touching it, and others struggle to tell the difference between chicken and fish. I'm sure if you're familiar with the 2003 reality show Newlyweds, Nick and Jessica, you might know what I'm talking about. During the first episode of Nick Lachey and Jessica Simpson's reality show about their new life as a married couple, there was a scene where the newlyweds were sitting on the couch eating when Jessica asked her husband whether she was eating chicken or fish.
Is this chicken what I have, or is this fish? I know it's tuna, but it says chicken by the sea. That's stupid.
Nick had to clarify that the brand of tuna that they were eating was chicken of the sea, but that it did not in fact contain any chicken and that it was just an expression. This mix-up had people laughing and caused some embarrassment for Jessica, as this simple mistake caused her to be laughed at by so many. In later years, she's become a good sport with the meme and has even used it herself on a few occasions. At number 2, Kanye West. Raise your hand if you've ever accidentally walked into a pole, or a door, or a wall, or just anything really. Me. If you're alone and you accidentally bump into a wall or something, then it's fine, but when you're with other people or out in public, these little accidents can be super embarrassing. That's what happened with Kanye West in 2013 while out with Kim K. This happened while Kim was pregnant, and so as they were walking together and paparazzi caught up with them, Kanye got protective of her and their unborn child and wanted to keep their heads down and away from the cameras. Well, I guess the flashing and snapping of the cameras was too distracting for the rapper, as he ended up walking headfirst into a sign.
Oh! Kanye! Oh, Kanye. Kanye, you okay? You okay? Are you okay? Stop taking
He was a little shaken and Kim even stopped to make sure that he was okay, but this injury angered Kanye as he proceeded to yell and curse at the surrounding paparazzi, getting them to leave them alone. I think my favorite part of this whole thing is the fact that he walked into a wrong way sign. Like, the fact that the sign itself was like, danger, is just so funny to me. Sorry, Kanye.
Starting us off at number 10 is Selena Gomez. Fans were confused when they noticed her Photoshop fail, mainly because it wasn't like the ones we're used to seeing. People are quick to point out objects in pictures that look bent when they would be physically impossible to actually bend that way, like a metal door, for example. So when people saw the metal door curved in her photo, they accused her of Photoshop. The door was right behind her shoulder and her hair, so it seemed strange because no one knew what she was trying to Photoshop. Turns out it actually was not Selena who did the dirty work. Her hairstylist ended up coming forward and said that he used an editing app to try and add more volume to her hair since he posted the photo on his social media. So people forgave Selena because it was not her doing, but it didn't look too good for her hairstylist, who just revealed that he has to Photoshop volume on his clients. Up next, number 9, we have Beyonce. It's hard to imagine that the queen herself would feel like she needs to alter her images in any way, but I need to remember that we are all human and we all have insecurities. Even Beyonce, Jocelyn. She's been accused on a few different occasions for some of her Instagram pictures looking tweaked. Like the famous staircase that was magically wavy between her thighs and did not match the shadow against the wall. People gave her the benefit of the doubt with that one, but then raised their eyebrows when they saw another picture that just didn't add up. The singer posted a casual photo of her sitting on a couch, but fans were quick to point out the asymmetrical wine glass and super bent iPhone that was on the table in front of her thigh. For anyone who doesn't know how Facetune works, objects that look bent, it's because you try and drag something, like either you're cinching a waist or you're trying to like drag something in to make the leg smaller. So that's what gives it that wavy effect. It's like you're reshaping. I remember it's called the reshape in Facetune. Fun fact, don't do it. Cruising into number 8, we have Kris Jenner. The momager of the Kardashian and Jenner sisters was caught photoshopping her own pictures, which wasn't totally surprising for a lot of people, no offense. The Kardashians get accused more than anyone, like on planet Earth, for editing their pictures. But Kris photoshopped a picture that was being promoted as an ad, which made the whole thing worse. Now, there's no denying that she looks great for 65 years old, which is why it's such a shame to see her promote a health product and then alter her body in it. She posed in a black sports bra, black leggings, and then accessorized with flat tummy tea. But no one was looking at the sponsored product. Everyone had eyes on the fact that the wood behind her was just magically curved. Wood does not bend. It's also incredibly blurry around that area of her arm, which only suggests that she tweaked that area. Her caption said, "People always ask me how I stay in shape and looking so good. Flat tummy tea is my this year's summer must-have, and I feel amazing. Hashtag ad." A lot of people criticized her for promoting a product of how she stays in shape, but then the image in that product, like promotion, is altered. If you felt amazing, would you be altering your picture? Moving on to number 7, we have Amanda Holden. The British TV presenter went on vacation and had one of her pictures go viral, but for all the wrong reasons. She is not one too shy about flaunting her body in front of her followers, and honestly, I don't blame her because she is hot. But one of her bikini pictures has gone down in history online for being one of the worst Photoshop fails in social media history. It was in 2016 when she posted a picture of her looking out at the ocean, but the horizon was just all kinds of crazy wonky. It looks like it's been distorted, which kind of then affects the whole picture. The wooden dock that she is standing on is also curved because of it, and the whole thing just does not look right. But no one could figure out what exactly she was photoshopping because of the way the curve goes in the horizon and the dock. It just doesn't make sense. Plus, her body is already perfect. But if you guys can figure out or have an idea of what maybe she was photoshopping, let me know, because I'm confused, but it doesn't look good. In spot number 6, we have Zendaya. Now this one wasn't her fault and she deserves so much credit for how she handled a Photoshop fail that was done to her without her permission. She posed for Modelist magazine back in 2015, and although she was happy for the opportunity, she wasn't thrilled about the results. Zendaya took it upon herself to post a picture of the original photo next to the end result in the magazine, and the Photoshop shocked people. They had altered the image so much that she didn't know about it until she saw the magazine. She posted on social media saying, "I was shocked when I found my 19-year-old hips and torso quite manipulated. These are the things that make women self-conscious, that create the unrealistic ideals of beauty that we have." They ended up issuing a public apology, as they should, and fans applauded Zendaya for being so honest about the Photoshop fail that was definitely unnecessary. Pardon my language, but what the f?
And at number 7, Danny DeVito. This one is pretty embarrassing, but more so adorable. This interview took place on The View, and it's hard not to crack a smile while watching it. The interview actually starts with DeVito admitting that he was hungover AF as he was out drinking with George Clooney the night before. Humble brag, I see. He also said he had 7 limoncellos right before the interview, and that they were finally catching up to him. He then starts talking about President Bush and making crazy facial expressions and noises to imitate him. Then when he literally looks like he's either gonna fall asleep or pass out, Rosie O'Donnell brought him over to cuddle. I'm sure he was embarrassed after this, but it just made me love him even more.
Rolling to spot number 4, we have Oprah Winfrey. Another Photoshop fail that was not the celebrity's fault, but they still took the heat for it. This one was definitely more of a good laugh though than the other ones on our list, because it wasn't Oprah's body that was altered to like look thinner. She was just given an extra limb. Oprah landed herself on the cover of Vanity Fair with some other huge celebrities like Reese Witherspoon, who was sitting on her lap in the picture. While the cover was iconic simply for the people on the cover, there was a massive mistake and Oprah had 3 hands in the picture. But it gets worse. Depending on what issue you see the picture from, there were some covers that had Reese Witherspoon with 3 legs. Multiple Photoshop fails in one magazine cover? I feel like an editor lost their job that day.
Halfway number 5, Dakota Johnson. You all should know about this cultural reset by now, because this interview kicked off Ellen DeGeneres' downfall. The interview kicks off normally with Ellen asking about Dakota's 30th birthday party. Ellen asked how the party was because she wasn't invited. Without a second thought, Johnson claps back, quote, "Actually no, that's not the truth, Ellen," then going on to say how she made a point to invite Ellen after Ellen gave her a ton of crap about not inviting her the year before. With Dakota adding, quote, "Ask everybody, ask Jonathan, your producer." Then Ellen's producer confirmed she was invited, with Ellen responding, quote, "Why didn't I go? Oh yeah, I had that thing. The party was probably in Malibu. That's too far for me to go." The interview managed to somehow get even worse when they started talking about Tig Notaro, and Dakota said that Tig was her favorite comedian, making the interview even more uncomfortable to watch.
Winning the number 1 place is Khloe Kardashian. Now, I remember covering this story when it first happened, and I could not help but laugh at just how ridiculous it was. Khloe is beautiful, but no matter how gorgeous she is, it seems like I will not convince her not to edit her photos. She showed off her new hair color in an Instagram post, but fans could only focus on how different her face looked. People commented on it saying she gave herself an entirely new face, and they're not wrong. But the worst part was, one of the interviews from Keeping Up with the Kardashian aired that same day, showing how different she looked in real life compared to the picture that she posted online. Everyone knows that if you're on TV, people are going to see what you look like beyond your social media posts. So people just couldn't understand why she would alter her appearance so much. She doesn't need to, she's so freaking pretty.
And at number 10, Cara Delevingne.
You do seem a bit irritated. Perhaps it's just us.
Yeah, I think it's just you. This interview was an absolute train wreck, and because it felt like the interviewers were constantly disrespecting Cara, she was in savage mode the whole time. The interview started off with her being referred to as Carla, Yikes. Cara was being interviewed to promote the new movie Paper Towns with Good Morning Sacramento. I think the interviewers didn't mean to offend her with their questions, but Cara is clearly very sarcastic, so when she tried to be sarcastic, they took it as being rude, and then Cara got irritated as the questions became even more rude, so it was just really a downward spiral. The worst part was when another guy hopped into the interview and flat out asked her why she can't be more enthusiastic. Then someone else chimed in, quote, "You seem a little irritated. We'll let you go take a little nap and maybe get a Red Bull." Cara then decided to walk off in the middle of the interview, and I really can't blame her. And at number 9, Tyra Banks.
Okay, ready?
Pretty version
I'm gonna
of
try
a
to
big
grab him, okay?
No, what
Okay,
if
ready?
he jumps on me? No,
Oh,
oh my
hold
god.
on. Ready? I'm gonna hold him right at my lap. There we go.
Oh my god, I don't like him either. I don't really like him either. Oh my god, he's scary.
In 2007, during an episode of The Tyra Banks Show, Tyra ended up completely embarrassing herself after an animal expert brought out a porcupine. I'm not sure producers knew that she hated porcupines or if it was a coincidence, but once the animal was brought out, Tyra decided to get away from it by sitting on top of her couch. But the couch ended up disconnecting, tipping over, and Tyra fell to the ground. Everyone had a good laugh while the guests helped her up. It seemed that the porcupine wasn't really a threat at all, and it really didn't care that the whole debacle even happened. It was just sitting there eating its treats. Honestly, adorable.
Halfway through our list at number 5 is Miranda Kerr. Many people would agree that the Victoria's Secret model has no reason to alter her images online. I mean, her beauty and her body is the reason that she has a career of being a professional model. But she sparked a ton of controversy back in 2012 after she posted a behind the scenes photo at the Victoria's Secret fashion show, but the real version of the photo looked a little different. No one thought anything of her post until fans found the original and realized how much smaller her waist and hips were. After receiving a ton of backlash, she spoke up about it and said that she did not know the picture was photoshopped. She said she went online, found the picture, and then posted it, but no one believed her. Fans questioned how she wouldn't possibly recognize her own body. But let me know what you guys think. I feel like if I saw a picture of my waist looking smaller and my hips, I would be like, I don't look like that. That's not my waist. But I also don't look like Miranda Kerr, so.
And at number 6, Vin Diesel.
She's so beautiful. I'm in love. I'm in love with the interview.
This has to be my favorite interview moment of all time. And if you watch the H3 podcast, you've probably already seen it. The interview went down in 2016 at the Comic-Con experience in Brazil. The actor sat down with Brazilian journalist Carol Morena to promote his upcoming film, XXX Return of Xander Cage. But I don't think he actually said anything about the film, because the entire interview he was just talking about how the reporter looked. Basically, right in the beginning of the interview, he blurts out, quote, "God, you're so beautiful." Then talking to the crew, he added, quote, "My God, she's so beautiful, man. Am I right or wrong? Look at her. How am I supposed to do this interview? Look at this woman. She's so beautiful. Talk to me, baby." And trust me, that's literally the tip of the iceberg. The reporter talked about the experience in a YouTube video where she said that she didn't know how to react to his advances, so she basically just laughed the whole time. This one is honestly impossible to watch without cringing.
Here now, number 3, we have Kim Kardashian. Are you really that surprised? Probably not. I'm gonna be honest, there is an entire list of times that her pictures were accused of being photoshopped, so it would take way too long for me to name all of them, so I'll just power through like a few of them. Like the time she posted this mirror picture and fans were quick to point out that her door frame was very bent. Fans are always pointing out ways that her body appears to be altered in her social media posts. But there's also another one that went viral, but this one was completely out of her control. In one of her fragrance promos with her sister Kylie Jenner, people got a good laugh at the final edit because Kim had 6 toes on one of her feet. Obviously, she was not the one who photoshopped an extra toe on herself, but people still criticized her for it as if she was, which is so ridiculous.
And at number 4, the Kardashians. This interview is so legendary, I'm sure you've seen it memed online. Everyone always asks what the Kardashians are famous for, and the common answer is that they're famous for being famous. But things got ugly when Barbara Walters asked the same question to the Kardashians. While Barbara Walters was interviewing the Kardashian family as a part of her 10 Most Fascinating People 2011 special, she just said what we were all thinking. While talking with the family, she asked, quote, "You don't act, you don't sing, you don't dance, you don't have any, forgive me, any talent." And the Kardashians definitely did not disagree that they don't have talents, but Khloe did kind of clap back, adding, quote, "But we're still entertaining people." Awkward. And finally, number 1, Jimmy Fallon. This one's a mix of embarrassing and endearing. While Nicole Kidman was on the Jimmy Fallon show, they were reminiscing about the last time that they met. When they were both going over their version of the night, Kidman ended up admitting that she had a huge crush on Fallon at the time, and she even asked their mutual friend to set them up on a date, which was the time that they actually met up. However, Fallon had no idea it was a setup. He thought it was just some sort of, business conversation, so he was a perfect gentleman and never made a move. Throughout the entire interview, Jimmy is realizing that he had a shot at Nicole Kidman, but totally blew it. Kidman even said she assumed that he was gay when he didn't make a move on her.